Our workshop tonight is being led by Randy Foltz. This is actually the fourth contest workshop we've did. We did an intro to contesting, a RTTY contesting, then N1MM RTTY, and now N1MM CW. Randy is the past president of the Spokane DX Association. He chaired the last two Pacific Northwest DX conventions that were in Spokane. He's well known for mobile contesting. Most recently with Jay, who's also in the room, they won the Salmon Run Mobile, and he's a great competitor. He founded the Flounders Cup, which is between the two clubs over here on the east side, and there's a couple more coming in right there. He's a joy to watch contest. I can tell you, I watched him contest. He's just so smooth and such a pleasure to watch. And he's a great contester. That's all there is to it. And so we're privileged that he's going to be leading us tonight. And so at this point, I would ask you if you'll mute your mics, except when you're asking a question. That way we don't get background noise. And you can feel free to ask a question at any time, or you can ask it in the chat and I'll try and pick it up. But we want to focus on that. So at this time, Randy, I'll turn it to you.
Okay. Thank you, Mel. And I'm glad to see everybody here. I hope that you can get something out of all this. First thing I'd like to talk about is how to set up the cluster. Most of what I'll talk about tonight is for assisted or unlimited operation, but there's other things that will work just as well for whether you're assisted or unassisted. So the first thing is to set, as I said, is set up the cluster. So I'll start up VE7CC, and I have it defaulted to where it brings up Jay Townsend's cluster. So I connect, and it automatically logs me in. Here's Jay's address, ws7i.ewarg.org:7300. You can log into just about any, well, you can log into any cluster that you want to, and it doesn't make a whole lot of difference which one you use. Jay is a good one, I think, because people local to Spokane, you use that cluster, and then you can talk to them via the cluster. But K7AR in out of Portland works fine, and VE7CC also. So the first thing we want to set up is, let's go to settings. The main thing here is skimmer. You want that checked. And so you check it, and then you push this button that says tell the cluster. There's an ask the cluster. That's what the clusters already has set for you. But tell the cluster means that you want to see skimmer things. Then let's go to country, that tab. I want to see just things from the United States, spots from the United States and spots from Canada. This particular screen is reject over here. The reject is set. I don't remember how these got set, but this is the way that mine is. I don't know if these are defaults or not. It's been so long since I started this, I'm not sure. But in any case, country is set for reject. So everything gets checked except the United States and Canada. And then you need to tell the cluster that. That's if it's different than what you had before. So we only want to see United States and Canada. Okay. Then
there was a question there. I'm not sure what it was. Whoever had the question, can you repeat it? Must have just been background noise. Go ahead, Randy. I'm sorry.
Okay. Then the next thing to look at to set is the state. You can choose any of the states that you want to. This one is a pass. So this time you check the states that you want. I look at all the W7s except Arizona. And right now I don't have Nevada checked. I'm going to check it. Arizona and in Canada, British Columbia. I don't check California or Arizona because they're so much farther south than we are that they hear things that we don't. So you'll see spots from California and Arizona that you're not going to hear. For the same reason, I don't ever check the W1s because they'll hear Europeans that you won't ever hear or you won't hear for a long time. So just these states, Idaho, Montana, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, Wyoming, Utah. One of the big Utah spotters is practically out of Las Vegas. He's out of, north of Las Vegas. So he's pretty far south too, but I go ahead and do it anyway. So then since I added the Nevada to enable changes, you must tell the cluster. So you tell the cluster and all this stuff up here is the telling of it. Now let's go to bands. This side is in general CW, this is RTTY, and this is sideband. So for a CW contest, you want 80 meters. Oh, then again, this one is tell the class, or this one is reject. So you check the ones that you don't want. Well, I don't have an antenna for 160 meters, so I have that one checked. I don't want it. But if you have 161 and it's in the contest, then you would check it. 80, 40, we don't need 30. 20 is fine. We don't need 17. 15 is good. We don't need 12. And 10 is good. In a big contest, CW signals will go up into what you could consider the RTTY band. So I've got all of those checked as well. And then I don't want any of the sideband ones, except I've still got this 7100 to 7300 unchecked. Sometimes CW signals creep up that high, so I leave it open. So you just want the bands that you're interested in, that you've got antennas for, and that are in the contest. And then if this has changed any, then you click the tell the cluster. Then here's users, and then let's go to DX. Because back here in settings, we check skimmer. Then in DX, you're going to find a bunch of these spotter calls with a number sign by them. That means that the RBN or the skimmer caught those. And if you mouse over one of them, well, not here. So you need to have need to see the pound signs. So everything's good here. The skimmer over here is checked. So for setting up the contest, we're done with this. So we disconnect and then close it. Okay, so we got the cluster all set up. It's easier to do it with VE7CC than it is with the logging with N1MM, although you can do it there too. So I'm going to start N1MM. We don't need that for the moment. Whoops. I've got two screens here and you're only looking at one. So if I look over to the side, that's because I'm looking at the other screen. This is the basic setup for N1MM. Got a logging window here that shows the calls in this portion, and then down here it will show you any call that, or the current call that you're working will show up down here other times. So this is the log window. Then this is the entry window, and let's take the example of CQ Worldwide CW. So we want to set up the log for that. So it's File, and then new log, and then in log type, well, you can do the pick list and you can scroll up and down, or you can hit the first letter of the contest, which was a C. I pressed the C, and so it went to all the C's. Now it doesn't do after the first letter. So we want CQ Worldwide CW, that one right there. And it'll fill in the start date, which is not quite correct. It just guessed at it. So you can correct that or not. You need to fill all these things out. Single op, all band, low power. I'm setting them for me. CW, fixed station will go assisted, 1 transmitter, and the send exchange will be 3. Don't put in the RST, you just put in the zone in this particular, and then the operators are K7TQ. So all that is filled out, and that's good. Then let's go to associated files. The CW function key file name. I've already got one loaded here, but change. And then you get this box over here that says the newest CW function mode key that matches this contest name is CQWWCW, dated then. And we want the default one. Yeah, let's take the default one. The program knows where to go on N1MM pages to pull in that function key file. And it works just fine. There's a few tweaks you can make to it, but it'll work just fine. We'll look at it momentarily. The rest of these for CQ Worldwide we'll ignore for right now. Say OK. And now we're ready to go. Explain a little bit about the log, the entry window, this one down here. My radio is a LA Craft K3, and I'm interfaced to it. And right here, it shows the frequency that the radio is on, and we'll check it just to make sure that it's good. I'm turning the big knob, and indeed, that turns it. This white box is where you enter the call that you're hearing. Then these are sent and received RSTs, and then the zone over here is the zone that you would receive. We've got speed control here. That's the words per minute, and it actually will tell you that. You can go up if you want to go up above 30 words a minute, and you can go down by using the mouse. You can also hit the page up and page down keys on the keyboard to make it go up and down. These are the function keys. And let's take a look at the function key file. So if you put the mouse on any of the key, any of the little boxes, and then right click on it, over here will bring up the ASCII file that has the function keys defined. The first, well, this pound sign, this pound sign or number sign means it's a comment, so that doesn't count. Then these are the run keys, and then these down here, well, as it says, run keys, and these down here are the S&P keys. One thing that you get that you might get confused on or off on is that this is the label F1CQ and then a comma. Then what's after that, CQ test, and then a macro that's my call, and then my call again, and then test. These over here are merely labels. You've got to have 12 of these defined. You can't have 6 of them and then 6 other ones that say that are for the S&P one. So you got to have 12 of them that define the run, and then 12 that define the search and pounce. Okay, so this is just fine. We'll hear those. Okay. Down here, well, those are the little labels that go with the function keys. If you right click below the cent box, you get this. Show the function key panel. That's the stuff we just looked at. Action buttons, escape, wipe, log it, etc. Those are more for the mouse. You can't get to those with the keyboard. I'm a keyboard guy, so I don't like those. But if you like the mouse, you can look at those. I'll turn those off. Show bearing information, bunch of other stuff. Then this one is not a default on, but show the GMT time. I like to see that because as you get close to the end of the contest, you can see how many seconds you got left before the end of the contest. So you have a chance to, or you know whether you have a chance to work somebody or not. Okay. Let's open the Telnet window. So window, Telnet, and over here, we're connected to WS7i. And you can do this automatically. I have it so it's not automatic. So you reconnect. And then the login. These are user definable keys. I've got this one defined to K7TQ, so it logs me in. It knows who I am. So that's about all that we need to do here, except for one thing. Let's go over here to filters and bandmap DX timeout spot in minutes. Something around, well, you can put in any value you want to, but 10 minutes is a nice one for people that for stations that will be moving around a lot, or you can make it 30 minutes. If you go much more than 30 minutes, I find that the spots that you're seeing are too old, so they're not of much use. So you want to have something to do with that one. Then we can close it, or not close it, minimize it. Then for Windows, the next thing let's look at is the check window. So this window down here, if you type in a call, before that, before you start the contest, you should go to config and then over here, tools. Download and install the latest partial check. So do that, and it confirms that you actually did that. That's a giant list of essentially all the known contest calls in the world. So that's handy to have. Then tools, one more that's useful, download and install latest country file. That's a file that says that LU belongs to Argentina. So here's the latest, so it downloaded the latest ones there. Okay. Now then, the use of this check log is, suppose you hear a call and it's LU8D, but then you're not sure what the rest of it is. Well, and you know there's one letter. So it's probably either a Q or a Y. So this box tries to match up what you put in here with reasonable or with known calls. It's not a way to guess, but it's a way to help you out. So let's say we heard that it was a Q. The little red check mark means that yes, it's in there. It's in the super partial. Okay, that's the whole purpose of the log check. Then another window that's good to have before you start is the score summary. So over here, you got the number of QSOs, the band, the QSOs, the points, and the zones. As you'll see in a moment, that information also appears over here in the entry window. You can put these windows anywhere you want them. I have them arranged like this because I like to look down toward the bottom of the screen, and I want these things to be in a row, so I can just move my head sideways or move my eyes sideways. You can put them anywhere you want, but that's why I have them set like that. Okay, another window that's useful is the band map. Yes.
I wanted to make just one comment on your check log search. Another useful tip, I guess, is that I believe you can put a question mark in, for example, if you heard N7 something T, you could put in N7 question mark T, I believe, and it should show you everything that matches.
Yes.
And so that's another helpful tip that I've sometimes used where I miss one letter.
Yes, there's the example, N7 question mark T, and so it filled in, it could be A, B, E, or Q.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, that's a good one, Rob. Okay, here's the band map, and the calls that appear from the cluster also appear over here on the band map. So that's why you don't need to see the telnet window. In order to get to a call, you can, if you like to play with the mouse, you can click on it. And now we've moved to him, 1040 or 1404 or whatever. There's two modes in N1MM. One of them is search and pounce, so where you're looking for people to call. Another one is the run. You call CQ and you want people to answer you. I've got this set up and for enter sends message. So you go to configure and you check enter sends message, or it's already set. So what's going to happen is whatever's in yellow is the call that is the button that will be automatically pushed for you when you hit enter. So we hear K7SS. I've got the radio on. It's in a test mode, so nothing's going out over the air. So I type in K7SS and I hit enter. Sent K7TQ. And if it comes back to me, if you hit the space bar, it jumps over the RST. That almost never changes, and I've heard repeatedly from the log checkers, it's never looked at, so it's always 599. So you can just skip right over it by using the space bar. You can also move using the tab, but then you'll stop in the two RSTs. So hit the space bar and you move over. It defaulted, the program thinks that he's in zone 3. So it pre-filled it. Because that's a valid exchange, then this F2 key is yellow. So that's what's going to be sent next, what my exchange is. 599 or 5NN3. And that's the end of that. So we've logged him. The other way to catch people in on the band map is with a control down arrow. Well, it should be. Oh, the reason that it didn't appear to work is because these are zone 3 people, both of those, and we've already worked zone 3, so there's no point in working them again. Some other windows to look at would be
Hey, Randy, I got a quick question.
Sure, go ahead.
On that, when you were looking for a call sign in the band map, what stroke did you go to look for a new multi that was control at?
What should have moved it down to the next one is control and the down arrow.
Okay, control down arrow. Okay, thank you.
Yep, that will, well, there's a WB9. So if I do control up arrow, it went to him. Okay.
Got it.
And it's red because it's a mult for us because we don't have that particular zone. So over here, also you'll notice that once this little arrow in the band map went to that call, it also appears up here in the on deck. So you can either type it in again or just hit enter. And it will bring that call down and send your call. And then let's say he comes back and he's in zone 4. So we hear the 4 and we hit the enter. Okay. Much simpler than trying to remember which of the function keys to press. Okay. The other one that I brought up was the available window over here. This is all of them. It's essentially a band map, but shrunk down and sorted in a different way. These are sorted by call. And here's the frequency and then the direction. And you can open it up a little bit more. And the mode is of not much value because it's all CW and whether it's a multiplier or not. Okay.
Where did you find that at in the menu, the available list?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Where did you find the available list in the menu of N1MM?
Window,
in the window.
available
Okay.
mults. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. One other thing I should have mentioned, all the windows except the entry window, up in the upper right-hand corner, there's this up arrow and down arrow. The up arrow makes the font larger. The down arrow makes the font smaller. Okay. So almost all of them have that. So you can make them bigger or smaller, whatever size you want. Okay. And one of the nice things about the available mult one is that you can sort it by direction so that if your antenna is pointing to JA land, you get all the JA land. Here's a Hawaiian one, which is 246. So in the similar direction as JA. So you can see all of those together. So this is real useful if you're assisted. If you're not assisted, this window isn't of much use. This one, the band map is of use if you're unassisted, because it will put calls that you spotted. It will put them on there. So a way to remember where the calls that you were after were spotted. So very simple to operate here. You just put in the call that you hear. Let's say you hear K7GS. Hit the enter, it sends your call. He'll come back to you and send 599 and 3. Then you hit the enter. And you send your call. One other little piece that you might need to do is suppose that you thought it was K7GS and really it was K7GH. So you need to change that. So double click up here, backspace to where you want to make the change, and then hit the enter key and your log is changed. Okay.
I have a question, Randy.
Yep.
It's related to the band map. in the telnet window, if you minimize it, you get a message that says telnet messages suppressed while the window is minimized. Does that
That's
mean
right.
it doesn't go to the band map at that point?
They go to the band map and they go to available mults. They're suppressed in the telnet window. Because if I open it back up, well, and go over to here, there's nothing there. There, telnet messages are suppressed while window is minimized. So you don't see them, but you see all that information over here. Okay.
Okay, gotcha.
So go that you don't need to see, although certainly can watch it, but all that information appears over here. Okay, back here on the score summary, so we made on 14 meters, we made 3 Qs. It also shows over here in the entry window, 3 Qs, 2 zones and 1 country. Okay, so to do CQ worldwide, real straightforward and easy to do. Let's see what else I wanted to talk about. This is another program that that N1MM can link to, and I have it automatically start that program. It's a rotor controller. I have a ham4 rotor and a rotor control box that I got many years ago. Originally, the control box did not have a USB or a serial port, and I bought one, an add-on, and so I can control the rotor from N1MM. For example, let's say I hear LU8 something, so I need to swing the beam around to Argentina. So an Alt J and 140 appeared here in the controller window, and I'm looking at my my controller, and it indeed moved. For a high gain or for that controller, there's no feedback. You just have to watch the control box. Some of the fancier ones do have feedback. So a nice way to change the the heading of your beam without having to reach over and control the reach over to the control box. Then these buttons are settable. 30 degrees, that's basically Europe. 60 degrees, southern Africa. 90 degrees, the United States. 120, a little further south in the US. I'm not sure why I have 140, a little further south, say South America. 350, Alaska. 305, Japan. And then these aren't of too much use, but you got to fill them, or you can fill them in anyway. Okay. And then one other window that's of some use. Here's a gray line map. So here's where the Terminator is, and this is where Moscow is. So that's a nice little thing to have, but it's not a necessary thing. Okay. Any questions on setting up for CQ worldwide?
Randy?
Yeah, Randy, I got one. This is Pat in 7UVH.
Yep. Go ahead.
And I was wondering if you could show the multiplier window.
Yep. Yep.
That goes in tied in with the band map. And I found that to be very useful because if a new multi comes up in my multiplier window, comes up as a red dot, and I just click on it, and it'll take my radio and go there.
That's right. I was going to go over that in Sweepstakes, but here it is. So it's window, multipliers, and you can either do countries or zones. That would be the two that would be useful here in CQ Worldwide. So if you right click on down here, you can choose what gets shown here. I had it defaulted so it didn't show everything, but there's all the 40 zones and the band that you might have worked them on. Here's the spotted and double mults there in green. Spotted, expected, and worked, so we've worked 2 here. So yes, this is a useful one. Yep, thanks, Murph.
Randy,
Okay.
I had
Anything
another.
else?
Randy, this is Rob. I had another comment that I found useful as well. Is in the band map, if you've connected your rotor, you can pick a call and right click on it, and you can then select rotor and
Yep.
turn rotor. And that's also another quick way of just getting there without even knowing where he's at. It'll just go there.
Yeah, that's a good one, Rob. Thanks. I usually keep my hands on the keyboard, so I don't do the mouse ones. But yeah, that works great. Very good. Very good. Okay. Now let's go and set up for sweepstakes. Well, any other questions or comments?
Yeah, what does expected mean?
I'm not real positive, but there's a expected multiplier list that you can edit or clear. So if you think, well, suppose you think zone 40 is not going to be on there, so there's no point looking at zone 40. So you can make a list from that include 1 to 39. I guess that's the main use of it. I have never used it, so that's just my guess, but I think that's probably what it means.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right, let's set up for sweepstakes. So file, open log, and we type in an no. Wrong thing. File, new log. So here, and it's sweepstakes, and the abbreviation is SSCW. We want to be single op all, low power, fixed, assisted. Now then, in sweepstakes, this is the exchange: a serial number, a precedence, your call, your first licensed, and section. So for me, that would be, for example, might be serial number at 23, unlimited. That means I would be using the cluster, K7TQ, as first license in 75, and Idaho. However, down here in Cent Exchange, this is one of the rare times that you don't put all the pieces in. What you want to put in, and this is in the documentation of N1MM, is the precedence, either A, which means low power, B, which means more than 100, Q, which means QRP, U means unlimited, M means multi-op, and S means school. And you put in the year and you put in the section. So it's A98 ID. Okay, and the operator K7TQ. Over here, associated files, function key, we'll get this is the default one. I've already loaded it. This one, this time, it is useful to have the call history. The super partial one just has calls. Call history can have name, your first licensed, section, bunch of other stuff that's useful. So you go to change, and right now there isn't one for sweepstakes. So I got last year's, and so you'll see the use of it. But when you get closer to sweepstakes, which is not this weekend, but the weekend after, then you can see that, then you can get a call history, and I'll show you the utility of that shortly. So you say, okay. And these are still useful, so we'll leave them up. Oh, I'm going to get rid of that one. Let's see, what did I want to do? Oh, if you use the default one, you got to make some changes to it. Down here at the bottom, which I think it should have said it at the top, but it says it down here at the bottom, requires editing. This message file cannot be used as is. Change your precedent check section to match your exchange info. So up here, this precedent is U. This pound sign means the serial number, and then U, my call, you leave that, check, wipe those things out, and put 75 or the year that you were licensed. And here, section Idaho. So that one's fixed, and then you got to fix this one down here to be the same thing. U, '75, and section Idaho, or Eastern Washington or Western Washington. Okay, then the rest of these, they work fine and all. So you save all that. Okay. Now then, here's the beauty of using N1MM in sweepstakes. Let's call CW, let's make this the run frequency. And let's go up high where things are slow, and we'll go at 24 words a minute. So we hit, whoops, back to run, make sure, yep, we're at S&P. Okay, so you just hit the enter. Okay, and now let's suppose we hear WB5 QMP call us. So we type in his call and hit the enter. Okay, so that's sent one, and then U, and then K7TQ, 75, and then OK. And then up here, what I got, suppose, well, up here, this is what he sends, but of course you got to figure that out yourself. So this is the magic part. You type 23 and then no space. You put the number and the precedent together. And then the exchange is the call again. So he sent that WB5 QMP, and then a space, and then 75, and then he's in Oklahoma. Okay. All right, that one was easy because we got everything right. If you look right here, the program decoded what this was, 23A, WB5 QMP, 75 OK. So we hit the enter. Thank you, K7TQ SS Sweepstakes. So everything worked great there. Now, let's have another one where perhaps things don't quite go so nicely. This is, so we call CQ again. And AB7TK calls this. So we send We hit the enter. And what we think we hear is 51 U AB7TK 75 Idaho. Except then we think about it some more and we realize, nope. Well, let's make this, we think it was South Dakota. But then think about it some more. No, it's Idaho. So you just space over and you type in Idaho. And if I'll space back, initially it thought South Dakota was the answer. But then when we typed in Idaho, then it said, oh, nope, Idaho's the right answer. And then suppose we really fouled up and it really, the check is 78. So you just space over and you type in 78. And because it doesn't have the letter by it, it knows that that's the check. Okay, you don't have to move back and forth to the various boxes. You just keep typing in the correct answer. Okay, so that makes things really much simpler than having to move around in a different box. Now, a couple other things. All right, suppose now let's go to search in pounds. And we hear K7GS calling. So we type in K7GS and we hit enter. And then he comes back to us. And because Gary is in the call history file, the call history file thinks that Gary was first licensed in 58 and he lives in Eastern Washington. And if you look here, it doesn't know what the serial number is yet, but it's got K7GS and it's got 58 in Eastern Washington. So suppose he sends 124 B and then K7GS and then 58, but we don't have to do that. And EWA, we don't have to do that either because it already knows what those are. Or you can type them in also. So 58 EWA and it figured out what it was. So very nice parsing way to handle things. And then one other thing I found over the many years that I've done sweepstakes is suppose we hear N7ZUF, and so we call him, and he's not in there. He's not in the CW sweepstakes. So he sends 45 unlimited, 45U, no space between them. You got to get in the habit of not putting the space in there because it won't know whether that's the year he was licensed or whether it was the serial number. And then the next thing that should be sent is his call. Not everybody sends their call though, even though that's what heard funny noises. Okay, anyway, not everybody sends their call, so you don't have to put it in, but I think it's nice you just copy what was sent. So let's say that Jay doesn't send his call. You don't have to type it in. Then he sends, I'm not sure what it is. Let's say it's 68 EWA, Eastern Washington. So it's still got this N7ZUF. So fill that in up here, and the F2 exchange means it's good stuff. So you hit enter, and on you go. Okay, so the big thing to remember here is the serial number and the president go together, and then anything that changes, you just tack it out on the end, and it will figure out, the program will figure out what the correct answer is. Okay, I see I'm getting low on time. I'll show you one more thing here that I think is really cool. Mult chaser. So you start Mult chaser and file, open log. We want CQSS, and this shows the sections that we've worked. Here's an Oklahoma one, that was the WB5 QMP, Idaho AB7TK, and Eastern Washington K7GS and N7ZUF. The other neat thing about this is if you mouse over, it'll tell you what the section is. Not too difficult on the states, but over here in California, if you're interested in where all those places are, this does it. Okay, so this is a sections one. There's also a state one. This is from the RIDI Roundup. So I missed North Dakota, Vermont, and I think Rhode Island is not colored in. All that, and then one more. You can also, can be done by state. This is Kansas QSO party from 2 years ago. So I worked all but those grade in counties out of the 105 counties in Kansas. So a nice little visual display of what you've worked. I usually keep that on the other screen because it takes up room. Okay, fairly quick run through, but they're the basic things on how to do a CW contest. There's other tricks that could be done, but those are what I consider the straightforward and simple things.